Welcome back to Autism Live. You know, one of the things that I say is that I'm really lucky, that I'm one of the luckiest people I know, and that getting to be here with you on a daily basis is one of the ways that I'm luckiest. It's a privilege for me, and I've gotten to meet so many people on this journey, and our next guest is one of the many people, but at the top of the list of people that I've met that I go, man, am I lucky, and man, am I privileged to be so lucky to meet the kind of people that I'm meeting. And I'm talking, of course, about Kerrie Mallory-Thompson, and I met her through doing this show. I count her as a friend now, and we don't have a lot of success in being able to be in the same place at the same time. We've tried repeatedly, and it like always has issues that are sort of epic. But at some point, we're going to find time to be in the same place at the same time for an extended period of time, and neither of us will be lost on the side of a mountain. Right? But in any case, so Kerrie is joining us from Arizona, and we're going to talk about two different entities having to do with Kerrie. But yesterday I kind of kerfuffled it, but it's AZA Now, and tell us what that stands for.
Arizona Autism Network of the West Valley.
Okay. I got some of that in there, but I didn't get all of it. So you're located in but this is the Phoenix West Valley or the Chandler West Valley? Where are you?
No, Chandler's considered East Valley. Phoenix is a very large metropolitan area, kind of like LA, how it just kind of like expands.
Yeah.
We are in the far west part of the valley of Phoenix.
The part that's closest to Los Angeles, in fact.
Correct, yes.
All right.
So those coming from the East Valley will always tease about how they're driving to California.
Okay, all right. And how did AZA Now come into being? Because it didn't exist a while ago.
No. There weren't a lot of resources. Well, there were resources, but not a lot of people knew about them in the West Valley. So about three and a half years ago, I had gone out to the East Valley Autism Network's summer meeting on summer school or summer camps and all that kind of stuff, because I wanted to see what was out there for my kid, and I wanted to see what kind of programs that I can get him into. And I went out to the meeting, and the more they talked and the more the speakers came up and talked about their summer camps and their programs, I was like, this really has nothing to do with me, because there's no way with my job and his therapy that I'm going to be able to get him out to the East Valley for these summer camps. So I kind of felt kind of defeated a little bit, but then the more I sat there, I continued to listen to the people, and I listened to the parents and all the resources that were available. I'm like, we don't have anything like this in the West Valley, and we need something like this. So after the meeting, I drove back, and it was an hour and a half drive. And I drove back, and I got on Facebook, and I thanked the ladies over at Evan and said, you guys put on a great meeting. Unfortunately, I'm not able to participate in any of this stuff because it is so far away. But, I was very inspired, and you guys did a great job. I said, we need something like this in the West Valley. And another autism mom chimed up and said, well, then do something about it. Like, okay. So I did. So at the time, me and another autism mom, we kind of got together and said, okay, well, what can we do? What kind of programs can we offer in the West Valley to get our autism community together? So that's kind of how AZA Now got started.
And you guys do amazing work, and I talk a lot on the show about the power of one, and just that pivotal moment where you were going, hey, I feel defeated because I see that there are potential things that my kid could benefit from, but they're not in a place that I can access them. And that moment when the person said to you, well, then why don't you do something about it? And I think a lot of people get that said to them, Kerrie, but not a lot of people do something about it. And sometimes it's because they don't have the skill to do it. Because this takes skill. This takes a tenacity that not everybody has. But you found it, and I know that other people find it too, and that's when things get really good. So you guys have been able to do a bunch of different programs, and we've got pictures of different things. Let's talk about some of the different things. I particularly love that you guys do a sensitive Santa, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous because your sensitive Santa, I mean, we do a sensitive Santa too, but you You know how to get volunteers that, so
Yes.
you have fabulous, I don't mean to demean in terms of, but I want to use the term minions. You have an army of minions to do your good with you. And I'm always stunned by that. I don't have that talent. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to gather minions. Um, but you do. So talk a little bit about this Sensitive Santa, because it's sweet.
Yeah. Well, our Sensitive Santa program, it's definitely grown. Last year, we actually did it in the East and the West Valley because the year before, everybody in the East Valley was like, how come we don't have anything like that? So I found it ironic that, we started our West Valley programs because of everything that was going on in the East Valley. And then the next thing you know, the East Valley is like, well, how come we don't have the stuff in the West that the West Valley does? So the school that we host that hosts it is the Autism Academy in Peoria, and they have an Autism Academy, two campuses in the East Valley. So we held it at one of their campuses over there for the East Valley people, and we got a tremendous feedback. I think our West Valley event, we had over 800 RSVPs just for the West Valley, and the East Valley, I want to say it was around 600 or so, 500 or 600 for RSVPs. And we have people sign up ahead of time on our website, and when they come in, it's, again, they're waiting for Santa, but they don't realize that they're waiting for Santa. We've got crafts going on, we've got cookies, there's games, there's kind of what we call the on-deck room, which we get to call their name to let them know that they're next to see Santa. So before they see Santa, they go into the on-deck room where it's quieter and it's a little bit calmer than the outside with the games and the crafts and all kinds of stuff. So they kind of get to calm down a little bit, and then they ease their way into Santa. And in the West Valley, our Santa for the last 3 years has been one of Connor's former therapists, who's also a BCBA, and he's now a professor over at one of our community colleges. And he's amazing. If he senses, any anxiety in the kid at all coming in, he'll immediately hide behind the tree and ease his way in. We've got elves in the room that help out. This past year we had Mrs. Claus as well, helping out quite a bit. So it's a big event.
You have a humongous set. My people and my team is usually 3 of us. We're trying to create a little space for Santa to be, and I'm chartreuse with envy, Kerrie, because you always have the most beautiful setting. It looks like something done really professionally for a movie set. You guys, and you've got all kinds of helpers, and everybody is so into it, and everybody gets something at yours as well the day up. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. For the last several years, luckily I'm in a business that I'm able to make ornaments, and my bosses, all of my bosses, have been absolutely amazing and have allowed me to go and make these ornaments every year for the kids. And this past year, we just we made little ornaments that had the logo on it, and Santa gave the kid the ornament just before he left the room. So each kid gets a special ornament from Santa, and it's been different every single year.
I just love it, and you're really downplaying the fact that the stuff that you do at your work is stunning and beautiful, and those ornaments are absolutely gorgeous. And we're gonna have Samantha get the pictures from the Santa, Sensitive Santa, but there's other events that you guys do too. Some of them are autism events, and some of them are community events that are not necessarily an autism event, which I think is amazing and brilliant. Talk to us a little bit about some of the non-autism events that you guys go to and what you try to bring to them.
Well, I think it was probably the end of last summer. I went to my board and I'm like, we need to start getting out more into the community and doing more events, because we find more and more people that are telling us, even within the autism community, there's like, I did not know that you guys were here. I didn't know you existed. I didn't know that you offered these sensory jumps. I didn't know that you offered monthly meetings for parents. They didn't know about AZA Now. So I'm like, okay, if this is people within our autism community, I can just imagine what the people outside of the autism community who are just newly diagnosed, or think that their child might be on the spectrum and don't know what to do, don't know where to get him or her checked. So we try and get into some of these non-autism community events. We went to 3 trunk or treats during the fall, and I believe I sent a couple of the pictures. Yeah, That's one of them. The one on the left is Olivia, Becky, and Nicole, and then Nicole's daughter, Reese. We were out at the El Mirage event, and again, this is a non-autism event, so we're handing out candy, doing sensory tubs, and even kids without autism are flocking toward the water beads and the rice bins, and they absolutely love them.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get ourselves out there, and so people, like I said, if they think that they might be on the spectrum or know somebody who might be, at least we're a resource for them, and that's kind of what we were hoping for.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. And then you brought up some of the events that you guys do. What's the next big event that you guys have coming up?
Our next event is our back to school swim party, and that we are teaming up with the City of Surprise, and they block off 2.5 hours of time at the local community pool just for our group, and it's all for special needs. It's not just for kids with autism. That is on July 28th from 5:30 to 7 out in the City of Surprise.
And I think last year I happened to be in town the day that they were doing, or was the day before. It's always shocking to me because I'm from back east that how early we go back to school this side of the country. But so July 28th, you said?
Correct.
Because you're probably going back, what, around August 1st, going back to school?
I believe that first week of August, like the 4th or the 5th, is when my kids do go back.
What a wonderful, wonderful event. And then you mentioned that you have support groups. What kinds of things do you have for the folks?
Well, we do bi-monthly meetings where we'll get a different guest speaker coming in. Not April, but I believe it was I can't remember, it was March, I believe it was. One of my former softball players is now a pediatric chiropractor, and she came in and she talked about sensory overload and all that kind of stuff. So she came in from Ignite, and she was our guest speaker. On April 21st, we're actually going to be doing an autism toolbox, and that is a 4-hour workshop that we do every quarter, and we'll have 3 to 4 guest speakers, and this particular one is going to be geared toward what is autism. So we're going to try and push it toward teachers, people in the medical community, family members, people who just don't know a lot about autism and want to know more about it.
I love it. It's just, it's amazing what has happened. Are you ever just like stunned when you think about all of the arms and legs and the people that you've been able to reach because of that moment that you said, okay, I guess I'm going to have to make something here?
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, since the day my son was diagnosed, and I mean, I can't believe the different paths my journey has taken. It's been like a roller coaster, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your fabulous son, who I adore the ground that he walks on. He is one of the cutest things on the planet. Talking about Connor. And we've got a picture of you and Connor. He is the sweetest thing. And how long has it been that I've known you guys? Is it like 4 or 5 years?
About that, yeah.
And what I remember in the early days, because the first time I ever remember chatting with you online, he was not diagnosed, but you were thinking that he might be somewhere on the spectrum. And even then, you had a way that you were looking at this. Was it what is now your site, Autism Will Not Define My Son, or
Yes.
Was it something that was close to that?
No, it was that. And I do remember the first time because he was at his 2-year checkup, and his doctor had mentioned it for the first time. And he's like, let's get his eyes and his ears checked first, but then we'll get you in with a developmental pediatrician so we can, just check for autism. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So, of course, you get on the internet and start Googling all kinds of stuff. But, until we got that official diagnosis or, started getting more information, I did come across, your site and, your program and everything. So from that point on, I was pretty much able to, get as much information as I could until he got the official diagnosis, and it's just kind of snowballed from there.
But you've been somebody that each step along the way, you've sought out answers, and when you found things and found that they weren't where you were, you you didn't let that define you. You didn't let that stop you. You were I remember when you were looking for ABA and it wasn't there, and yet you put together a dream team. And I remember when you were looking for a school and you weren't finding something, but then you found some. You've continued to massage this every step along the way, and you have not taken no for an answer. I've seen you do that. And I would love for you to talk to the moms that are watching that are in that point where they're like, oh, okay, I know I'm supposed to do ABA, but it's not here. And I know they write into me all the time. They go, well, we don't have the help group here, and we don't have the Miracle Project here, and we don't have this here. What am I supposed to do? What do you want to say to them?
Don't take no for an answer. If that's not there, create it. When we had, I think it was last month, we went to the Arizona Autism Coalition Expo, and I could not believe the number of people that were there from out of town. Winslow, Show Low, Flagstaff, Bullhead City. They came from all over Arizona to come to this expo to find resources. And they kept saying, well, how do we get this and how do we do that? Well, you start it. So being part of the Autism Society of Greater Phoenix now, we are able to kind of help outreach a little bit more and, kind of help. We've got Lego clubs now in Yuma and Maricopa because, one mom stepped up and said, hey, how do we do this? How do we get what you guys have? So, we're trying to help people in the rural areas who aren't able to come to Phoenix and come to our sensory jumps every month. Go out to your local place and say, hey, this place is doing it. Can we do something similar?
Absolutely.
All it takes is just ask a question.
So let's talk specifically about Connor now, because he deserves to be talked about. He's an amazing young man. At what age was he actually diagnosed?
He was diagnosed at risk a little after 2. We went through a full year of speech, developmental, and occupational therapy. He was then reassessed at 3, and that's when he got the official autism diagnosis. And then not this past year, but the year before, he was diagnosed with apraxia. And
so you call his team the Dream Team. Talk to us a little bit about who all that entails.
Well, his Dream Team consists of every single therapist who's worked with him, everybody who's helped him get to where he's at, and everybody who's currently working with him. That includes all of his paras at school, his actual teachers, the grandmas who help take him to and from school and watch him when I'm at work. I mean, everybody encompasses this Dream Team.
Yeah, because we have to point out you are a single mom and you work way more than full time. You are an integral part of this AZA Now. You're somebody who is a member of your community and has done a lot in your community. You used to coach women's softball and have an entire community around that. And you are also someone who is a brilliant photographer and used to do a lot of photography that you've kind of put a little bit, I don't want to speak for you, but it seems like you put that a little bit on hold because you've got so many other balls that you're juggling. But you're a busy, busy woman. You are not sitting at home eating bonbons and watching soaps.
No. Well, I watch my soaps, but it's usually at anywhere between 12 and 2 a.m. when I'm working.
All right. Well, that makes a certain amount of sense. But so, but let's talk a little bit about, so the progression of Connor being diagnosed and then getting later the apraxia diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And we don't hear enough about apraxia. How does that manifest itself in Connor?
Well, the way that I describe it to, everybody who asks about it is that somewhere up in the brain, he knows what he wants to say, but between here and the tip of his tongue, there's a disconnect, and he can't figure out how to say it. And he's getting a lot better. But I still see him now saying certain words where he'll say the end of the word before he says the beginning of the word. So he kind of gets things a little bit backwards. Or he'll say maybe that's like a 2 or 3 word phrase, he'll say the last word and not the first 2 words. So I can visibly see sometimes where the apraxia kind of comes in.
Yeah.
But just by getting that apraxia diagnosis, we were able to get additional speech time, which I can't tell you, Shannon, in the last year, he has just blossomed, and he's saying more words. And if I can't understand him, I'll ask him to get his iPad so he can then type it out and use the keyboard. And now he's telling me, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to use my iPad, and I want to tell you. So that, just for him to acknowledge that and to realize that what he's trying to say is just absolutely amazing to me.
And you have done something really remarkable. You've been videotaping Connor since he was little, and sharing those videos publicly, showing the triumphs and the frustrations. And for people who need to see how hard our kids work, I sometimes tell them, okay, you have to go over to Autism Will Not Define My Son, because I think you have a bigger library of watching a child work than anybody else. And I know that sometimes, Kerrie, you get some guff about that people say you shouldn't be posting that. You shouldn't be, that's private, and that's, because some of it's hard to watch. I don't know how you do it, because I watch, and I know you, and I know Connor, and I get choked up. It's not unusual that I'll be sitting on the couch with my husband, we're watching a TV show, and I'll be like, oh, and then I'll go, yes. And my husband will be like, are you watching Connor? Because I'm living and breathing it. And, and I'm the lady who gets to see him maybe once a year. I don't know how you do it as a mom. It's so, sometimes it's so hard, but he works through it all. He doesn't give up, and you never give up on him, Kerrie.
No.
It's inspirational.
You can't. You can't. I mean, if I give up, then he gives up, and he's not going to progress. But one of the reasons that I do record a lot and I do post a lot is not only because I hope it helps someone else, but also because it helps my family see what our struggles are and how he's progressing. One day he may fall off his bike 10 times, but then the next day he's riding it for 2 seconds without leaning, But the other reason also is because of his dream team. So I honestly don't think, because his dream team can't always be at the same place at the same time. So by keeping connected with the videos and, the private Facebook group that we have for his dream team and questions, everybody's able to bounce ideas and say, hey, this is working, this isn't working, or this is the behavior that, we found today, and what's going on? Did he not sleep well? What is the case? So having that communication within his dream team, both publicly on his page and privately on his group page with just his dream team, that's made a huge difference.
Well, I have to say it's really brave, but I have to say that I support you 100%. And for people who say you should not be posting this, I want to submit that I think it's because it makes them uncomfortable, and that's not a reason not to say, because when he makes those huge leaps that he makes, your family and your team and the whole world gets to see that didn't come out of nowhere. That came out of a whole bunch of work. And that down the road, as he continues to grow and as he continues to get more language, it's not going to be that somebody's going to be able to say, oh, well, he just outgrew it. That's 68 kinds of BS. He's working harder than most people do in a lifetime, and you are working hard and supporting him harder than anybody I know, Kerrie. I have to say, you're remarkable. He's remarkable. And, I know you give him a lot of credit because he's got such a huge heart. But if you weren't there in his corner, he could not be doing the things that he's doing. So I just applaud you all day long and twice on Sunday.
Well, thank you.
It's remarkable. And so for people who are not following your story yet but would like to, what are the different ways that people can connect, both with AZA Now and with your blog page, to see what's happening with Connor?
Yep. Facebook, and then Autism Will Not Define My Son. That's our journey, our personal journey. And then Facebook, Arizona Autism Network is our actual URL for that.
Okay. And there we go. We've got both of those up there now. And I just want to say to you, I know sometimes the days get really, really long, but I hope that you know that a bunch of us are watching. We see you, madam. We see what you're doing, and we see how worthwhile it is. And it is inspirational. It is absolutely inspirational what that young man is being able to do. Just to watch him fight to be able to say 2 words, it gives me an appreciation for everything that we're all trying to do, everything that everybody has been through, and the things that are possible when we get to see him get a word out or get 2 words out. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it all boils down to, a good, strong team. You have to have, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have that tribe around you, and both with, my kid and his dream team, and AZA Now with the people that I have behind me on the board, and, Becky and Nicole and everybody in that picture right there. I mean, we're all now one big group with the merger with the Autism Society of Greater Phoenix, and, we would not be able to do half the things that we do without the group that we have. It's one big team.
Well, it's amazing when you get a group of people together, what can happen. So what are your dreams for Connor in the future?
Oh my God. Continue to drive me crazy, to continue to push and challenge me. That's my goal for him. And I've got no doubt he's going to continue to do that.
He's one of the sweetest kids I have ever met. His face.
He's very loving.
He is. He's very loving. His face, though, is such a mirror of the things. Like, there's no doubt. You can tell when you've done something that he is not happy about. You can tell when there's something that he's absolutely thrilled about. He's amazing. And of course, because of the background that I have, the fact that his face is so expressive, he's an amazing, someday he could be a brilliant actor. I just want to put that out there.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt
right?
it.
I mean, there is a light about him, and his face is so, in that respect, he reminds me of my husband, Kerrie, because my husband's an actor, and my husband, he will say one thing, but you can see something written all over his face that says the exact opposite. And I suspect that Connor, his entire life, his face is going to be a window into his soul, even as he progresses with language and is able to say to you, yes, but his face is still saying no. You know what I mean? I hope so too. But if it's going to happen for anybody, Kerrie, it's going to happen for you, because you don't relent.
Nope.
You are absolutely amazing that way.